probably 12 feet up from normal. A lot of debris out there, some heavy things that shouldn't be this close to buildings.
People all night long have been in attics and roofs asking for help, and with the resources we had, we got them out there. We are calling for more resources.
Hundreds rescued, the National Guard saving this family, helping them into high water vehicles.
This is the real deal here.
Our team with the elite urban search and rescue team, New York Task Force 1. Members of the NYPD and the FDNY going door to door to help.
We've done the first section.
Navigating dangerous currents to find trapped residents.
When you can help your fellow man, when you can get out there and do what you're trained to do, that's a great thing.
Everyday Americans rushing in to help too. We found volunteer rescuers with a boat in tow, not letting a roadblock get in the way. But look at this, those rescuers are right now trying to cut this tree up so they could clear the road and get to Newburgh. They weren't giving up. I mean, you guys wasted no time right away. As
soon as we pulled up, we jumped out and started cutting.
The destruction here, incredible. Ceilings caved in, windows blown out, trees down everywhere. And David, we can't even keep driving because the water just keeps rising. Take a look right there. That truck is just underwater. And right next to us, we have the massive Neuse River. There's just so much water here that river just can't drain it. So it's a recipe for disaster, David.
Gio Benitez tonight leading us off. Gio, thank you. And here in Wilmington, the discovery as we drove through neighborhoods today. So much destruction, those trees down, and in one case, a heartbreaking discovery. The frantic effort underway tonight to rescue those in the path of Florence. First responders out at daybreak after the hurricane first began battering the coast. Here in Wilmington, neighbors holding one another after a massive tree came crashing down on a young family's home. Firefighters were in a race to try to rescue the three trapped inside. A mother and her infant did not survive. They struggled to get the father out, managing to free him. He was rushed to the hospital. The fire chief describing to us on the scene how they had to cut through the tree to get to the family.
These firefighters were out here in the height of this storm working this rescue basically, and very, very difficult.
Firefighters and first responders outside the home kneeling in prayer amid the horror they had discovered. It all began in the early morning hours, hurricane force winds as Florence slammed into the coast, making landfall as we were on the air. The eye of Hurricane Florence is expected right here in Wilmington imminently. In fact, the eye wall has already made landfall. It's moving inland. You can see the winds are just ferocious right now. Wind gusts reported up to 97 miles per hour right on the coast. Wind gusts at the Wilmington International Airport reaching 105 miles per hour, the highest recorded gust since Hurricane Helene in 1958. Look at the sheer amount of water already arriving, and the eye of Florence isn't even here yet. What they're most concerned about is the rain. It's expected up to 40 inches of rain. Police cars on the roads pounded by those heavy winds and rain. Winds chewing up this gas station, the roof collapsing. Then carried away by the winds. The storm surge as high as 10 feet in some places. This boat battered and dropped on land. Streets blocked, trees down, trapping hundreds of residents in high water. And it all happened very quickly. From the highway in Wilmington, the view of the shopping center in the distance, the lights flickering, then off. Across town, this parking lot suddenly in total darkness.
Look at this. Look how high this is now. It's twice as deep as it was 10 minutes ago.
Walt Creighton has been stranded in a home surrounded by water. They've been relying on a generator. That's now in danger because of the rising waters.
We're about to have to kill the generator. It's about to be underwater. Look at this.
And it's a generator that was blamed for a death in Kinston. As a resident was trying to plug their generator in, he was electrocuted. In Pender County, a woman dying of a heart attack. Emergency crews were unable to get to her because of downed trees. Tonight here, the damage is vast and widespread. Part of the roof being ripped off this retirement home in Wilmington, this auto repair shop, and the cars crushed. So many lives affected, and those firefighters and an entire community praying tonight after learning of that young mother and baby lost. Very sad and difficult scene today, not far from where we're broadcasting here tonight. And there are very real worries going into this evening. Flash flooding, possible tornadoes, and North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper telling me just moments ago what he's most worried about going into this Friday night.
Governor Cooper, thanks for joining us. I know you have a lot on your plate, and there are still significant concerns ahead as nightfall approaches. You're dealing with possible flash flooding and possible tornadoes as we go into the night?
Our main worry is water and flooding. You know, with every inch of rain, our rivers rise, and we'll see significant flooding on into next week. Could be of historic proportions.
Governor Cooper, what would you like to say to so many people who I'm sure are nervous about their property? They just want to get back to check on what survived and what didn't as we head into these evening hours?
There's a great temptation to want to go back east and to view your property. Do not go. Stay in place. People are still being rescued in coastal North Carolina. I'm telling people to stay where you are. Don't go back until you get the all clear.
Well, Governor, we thank you for your time. We know you're extremely busy tonight, and we just want to applaud the emergency teams across your state and really all the volunteers we've met. It's been really something to witness here. Thank you, Governor.
Thanks a lot, David. We appreciate it.
North Carolina's Governor Roy Cooper tonight. Our thanks to the governor. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Zee. Ginger, you heard what the governor said there. The storm's still obviously very dangerous tonight, but the governor is very worried about the flooding still to come.
He's right to be worried, David. That is absolutely the truth. You know, there's a place just north and east of here that's already had close to 20 inches of rain, and that is going to go upwards of 30 and even 40 inches. The thing is, if you don't get in a car in the next 24 hours, and if you're in that flash flood warning, you have a much better chance of survival. People are going to die when they get in their car and go to check on their properties. He was exactly right there. Raleigh and Fayetteville both included, so it goes that far west. The track then takes this storm west through South Carolina, and then eventually into eastern Tennessee. It becomes a low and out of Pennsylvania. What it leaves behind is an additional, I'll say it again, additional 10 to 15 inches. David, behind me, 3 giant trees in a row in this historic district. They came into this storm 20 inches above their average to date. This is a saturated place that is obviously being inundated. David?
Those rainfall totals you're forecasting, just incredible. Ginger, our thanks to you. And I took note there on the swirl that radar, Myrtle Beach, right in the thick of it. Let's get right to ABC's Tom Yamas. He's in Myrtle Beach tonight, South Carolina. Tom?
David, good evening to you. Florence is pounding the South Carolina coast right now, and the winds are shifting right now. All the wind is flowing, the water from the ocean up into this land up here. They're waiting for a 2 to 4 foot storm surge. What they're really worried about, historic and catastrophic flooding that could take over 2 to 3 days. Just west of us, 5 rivers meet together. They possibly could all crest at record levels. David, back to you.
Tom Yamas in Myrtle Beach tonight. Tom, our thanks to you and to our entire team covering this hurricane, and we're going to have much more later in this broadcast. But in the meantime tonight, we do move on to the other developing stories this Friday evening. President Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, flipping and now tonight cooperating with Robert Mueller, entering into a plea deal with the special counsel, pleading guilty to 2 counts of conspiracy to avoid his upcoming trial. In court today, Manafort promised to cooperate, quote, fully and truly. Court documents adding that cooperation would be on, quote, any and all matters. So what could this mean for President Trump? Here's ABC's Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas.
He was the picture of confidence, the campaign chairman at Donald Trump's side at the Republican National Convention. But today in court, Paul Manafort appeared ashen, softly pleading guilty to multiple felonies. At times, his voice barely audible.
Tough day for Mr. Manafort, but he's accepted responsibility.
He was already facing up to a decade in prison after convictions on bank and tax fraud. He's now agreed to cooperate with special counsel Robert Mueller.
He's agreeing to cooperate, and do you expect that he will do so fully and thoroughly?
We do. Thank you.
In court, Manafort pledged to cooperate fully and truly. Prosecutors described a broad cooperation agreement covering any and all matters the government deems relevant. That will likely include the now infamous Trump Tower meeting, Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, and Manafort sitting down with a Kremlin-connected attorney they were told had dirt on Hillary Clinton. Manafort is the 5th member of Trump's campaign team to plead guilty in recent months. Just weeks ago, it was the president's former personal attorney turning on Trump.
You know, they make up stories. People make up stories. This whole thing about flipping, they call it, it almost ought to be outlawed. It's not fair.
Pierre Thomas joins us live tonight from Washington. And Pierre, how is the president's team now responding to news that Paul Manafort is now cooperating with the special counsel?
David, we have a statement from Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani. He says, quote, once again, an investigation has concluded with a plea having nothing to do with President Trump or the Trump campaign. The reason? The president did nothing wrong, and Paul Manafort will tell the truth. David?
Pierre Thomas tonight. Pierre, our thanks to you. And next year this evening, that state of emergency in Massachusetts tonight, the deadly chain reaction gas explosions. This was all breaking as we were on the air just 24 hours ago. Dozens of homes all burning at the same time in several different communities. And what we've now learned, police with infrared imaging stopping another major explosion before it could happen. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis tonight.
Tonight, residents still reeling after gas explosions rocked 3 communities north of Boston Thursday. With 60 to 80 structure fires, surrounding fire departments were overwhelmed. At least 12 buildings were left to burn. Gary Lang put the fire in his furnace out himself with sweatpants.
And I just started fanning it, and it eventually went out.
At least 25 people injured, and 18-year-old Lionel Rondon killed when a chimney from this house fell on his car. What is believed to be at fault? An issue with a high-pressure gas main. The mayor emotional today, lashing out at the gas company.
Since yesterday, the least informed and the last to act has been Columbia Gas.
And new infrared aerial images from the police show what they say was another major gas leak under the pavement, caught in time.
2 people remain in the hospital. The gas company apologized tonight and says that they are working to fix things safely and that the NTSB has taken over the investigation. David?
Lindsay Davis in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Lindsay, thank you.
ABC.
Their lives when the tree came down. We've seen trees like that all over Wilmington. Big, huge trees that have been there for years. Down the ground just so